for a lot of you, I bet when you hear this, I'm sure it unlocks a memory that is dear to your gaming hearts. But if you don't recognize this, let's take a look back on why this sound is so nostalgic for a lot of wrestling fans. The Nintendo 64 was a huge staple in the gaming industry. I mean, it had games like Donkey Kong 64, GoldenEye 007, The Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask, and how could anyone forget about the very first Super Smash Bros. Game? In 1996, Aki Corporation, known as the Man Breeze at the time, had released their first wrestling game on the PlayStation. That was a pretty big success. From there, Aki had come over to the western front of the world and released one more game on the PlayStation titled WCW vs. the World in March of 1997. I actually never got to play these two games growing up, but as you'll see later on, and from the reception on their later titles, how much they improved on the style on what they were trying to capture. Aki then partnered up with Nintendo and had dropped 3 games over a 2-year span. These games were WCW vs. NWO World Tour in December of 1997, a counterpart of WCW vs. NWO World Tour titled Virtual Pro Wrestling 64, which also released in December of 1997 in Japan, and WCW NWO Revenge a year later in October of 1998. With the wrestling industry growing its fan base week after week in 1997, the World Wrestling Federation's competitor, World Championship Wrestling, was winning in the ratings of the infamous Monday Night Wars, and from 1997 through 1998, it seemed like they were going to blow the WWF completely out of the water. But then, something changed. The WWF was becoming edgier. The fans were getting more invested into the WWF product from the likes of Stone Cold, The Rock, and D-Generation X, changing the landscape of what sports entertainment truly was. So of course, the WWF threw their money over at Aki Corp to have them make the fantastic WWF Wrestlemania 2000 game that released in November of 1999, which to many is still their favorite N64 Aki game. This game showed us that they knew what they were doing with the Attitude Era at its prime. It featured the largest roster to date, with all the talent we come to love on TV, like the Hardy Boys, Mark Henry, and Ow! The game sold over 1 million copies worldwide and was a huge success in the United States and Europe. Soon after this, they pumped out one more Virtual Pro Wrestling game, the sequel to what started it all. It was a Japan-only release in 2000, and due to it being a Japan-only release, I never even got to grab the cartridge, blow into it, and jam it into my N64 to see how it truly played. But growing up, and actually getting the chance to play the game myself, I don't blame people for wanting to play this over their last N64 title. Virtual Pro Wrestling 2 was phenomenal, and was definitely a showing of what they would come to do. To me, it just didn't have that true Attitude Era feeling. The secrets you were forced to find before the internet, and all of the creative things you were able to do with the character customization. And with the N64's lifespan coming to an end, came the announcement of the Nintendo GameCube in August of 2000. So of course, the WWF and Aki/THQ wanted to go out with a bang. Thus came WWF No Mercy. Released in November of 2000, the last Aki game to release on the Nintendo 64 was a huge success. To start, I think what made this game stand out more than its past titles were the game modes. With the addition of the ladder match, special guest referee, and championship mode, it made for an endless amount of replayability. The fact that you could become a special referee and screw over your friends like Vince and Shawn did Brett made for some awesome or sour moments depending on who you're playing with. You had full control over your match. You could count out the players if they were stalling outside the ring, go for a fast pin, and also call a DQ if you wanted to. I used to love playing this with my friends when I was younger, and thank God they added this game mode into WWE 2K24. Ladder matches were everything to me when I was watching the WWF during its prime Attitude Era days. Seeing Edge and Christian hit daredevil spears off the top of some ladders, watching crazy-ass Jeff Hardy hit swanton bombs off the top of them like a maniac had me pop huge. You can now recreate spots like tipping the ladder over with Matt trying to get to the top to secure those tag team titles and see him fall all the way to the mat. Climbing up the ladder and fighting over that belt made things so tense because you definitely wanted to be the next champ over your friends. Want to battle it out with two of your friends in a triple threat? That is now possible in this game. I for sure had chaos break loose playing this game over the years with my older brother because I could never win against him in these matches. Then there's the championship mode with endless possibilities. You want to have Eddie enter himself in the Intercontinental bouts? You can do that in this and have him clear everyone out for that championship reign. Want Triple H's reign of terror to start early? Play with him through the World Heavyweight Championship missions and claim your era. These modes also had different outcomes depending if you win or lose, so having to replay everything to completely 100% each title playthrough was the only option. Also, whoever holds these titles in the championship modes can also defend them in the exhibition mode. And of course, the greatest tag team of all time was my created character Ill Will and X-Pac, which were the heavyweight tag team champions of the world. Speaking of created characters, let's head to the SmackDown Mall and check out exactly what you can do. Here, you can drip out your character and have them look wacky as hell, or make them look like an absolute superstar. Each superstar had 4 different attire options you can choose from, and you can customize each one exactly how you'd like. Want them to come out in a long trench coat for the entrance? You can apply that. Give them a sledgehammer as well while you're at it to let the crowd and their opponent know that you're hardcore. You can also go into specific superstars in the game if you wanted to and give them outfits you've seen them wear on TV. You can make Kurt Angle bald like he was after he shaved his head, give X-Pac his red gear like I did here, even take Kane's mask off like he did in 2003. It was definitely a nice touch from Aki, just another reason why this game stood the test of times. You may even see what you changed on the opening scene of the game, which I thought was the dopest thing growing up. Staying in the SmackDown Mall, we had a shop inside, where you could buy gear, movesets, and superstars like Ken Shamrock, Shawn Michaels, and Godfather's hoe. Yes, you could buy your own hoe for only $500,000. Not gonna lie, growing up and seeing this, I never understood until I was older why she was so much, but if you know, you know. Playing through championship mode would allow you to get money after your matches, so after you make bank, of course you're heading to the SmackDown Mall to cop that new Undertaker attire like the one he wore on Raw. Remember when I talked about the secrets in this game? Yeah, there are tons. Playing through survival would give you the chance to unlock characters like Jerry the King Lawler, Jim Ross, Mae Young, and a ton of others that were hidden in the game. Sometimes you can unlock characters through the championship mode. You can also unlock hidden arenas as well. Trying to figure out all the secrets in this game made you want to play it more and more, and sharing all of these things with your friend at school the next day, especially when they would tell you about a specific glitch or cheat they found made me just want to rush home and fire up that N64 and try it for myself. Now, let's get into the gameplay. Man, they had this down pat for its time. You got light and heavy grapples with your A button, throw some kicks or punches out there with your B button, and you can give your friends the bird by flicking that thumbstick up. I used to love taking my opponent outside the ring, putting them on the announce table, and choke slamming them to hell through it. My 6-year-old self would pop huge over this. You even had the chance to Irish whip your opponent to the ramp, and you'd find yourself fighting on the stage of Raw if you wanted. Bring them through the curtains, and boom, you're backstage. There are 4 other rooms from here: the parking lot, the backstage bar, the boiler room, and even fight in the locker room. I swear, I used to hate when my friends came over, picked the Dudley boys, and beat my ass across the pool table. But man, did I have fun regardless. You also get a spirit meter on the side of your screen. Hit moves or taunt on your competitor to fill that up, and once it starts blinking, you flick that thumbstick one more time, and now you can hit your special on whoever you're playing against. Go to the side of the ring and grab a chair, Eddie's lead pipe disguised as a rose, or even a table from the crowd. I thought this was the coolest thing growing up. Especially as an ECW fan, I was like, nah, it's the most hardcore game out. I clearly didn't get my hands on GTA yet. All in all, it's no wonder why people praise this game to this day. Even in 2024, people are creating matches with their friends modding this because they love that old Aki engine feel, and even holding tournaments to see who really is the best of the best. Like I said earlier, the replayability is there, and even 24 years later, the possibilities are endless. Thank you so much for watching, guys. WWF No Mercy and Super Smash Bros. Were the first games I ever got to play. Being able to take a look back all this time later and sharing the same love I have for this game like a ton of other people is truly super sick. I appreciate everyone who came over to click on this video, and I had a ton of fun editing and talking about this. I do have a Patreon where I'll be sharing some more video essays, and of course the Deadlock Retro Syncs. For only $2, you could be a super sick member as well. Other than that, I have nothing left to say. Go fire up that N64 with your emulator of choice and recreate some memories with your friends. Stay safe, everyone.